I have watched a ton of summer anime premieres, and I'm going to rank them based on what I liked least to most. These are brand new series for summer 2022, by the way. I'm not going to be including any anime that had previous seasons beforehand. This is all brand new. I'll most likely give all of these at least 3 episodes, but expect full reviews for somewhere around my top 5, when the seasons wrap up, I mean. And I'll do a tier list at that point too, so make sure to subscribe. So I've got 9 series premieres that I watched, with 2 extra ones that I wound up dropping before the episode ended. Those 2 were rom-coms, My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex, and When Will Ayumu Make His Move? I barely watched Ayumu, and Stepmom's Daughter wasn't really that engaging for me. If you're into that rom-com and relationship genre, it may be worth checking out. Anime is a medium after all, not a genre in itself, so I'm not gonna like everything that I watch. With those out of the way, I will say that none of the anime that I watch seem like low quality garbage, including the 2 that I just mentioned. Actually, every anime that I talk about, other than this first one, I would say is good, reviewing like a 3 out of 5 or better. I'll save review scores for when I get through a whole season though, so look out for videos for those in the future. Unfortunately, first up at number 9 is the only anime that I considered bad and was also my biggest disappointment. That anime is My Isekai Life. My god, what a boring and odd premiere. There was no introduction, no background at all. I literally had to pause and check that I didn't accidentally put on episode 2 because My Isekai Life premiered with the first 2 episodes. I don't know the reason behind this decision, if it's because most isekai are very similar, but I went into this anime thinking that this took place in a video game world, and that's not even confirmed until episode 2. Which I will speak to separately because there were 2 episodes to watch, but everything else only premiered with 1 episode. But just to say, episode 2 didn't change my ranking or thoughts. It still was bad, even though it was a little better. But bringing this back around to video games, in episode 1, the use of spell list menus, and later a quick flashback to the real world by the MC, Yuji, sort of confirmed it for me. Speaking of Yuji, super unlikable. He's extremely stern and emotionless. I thought I was going to be getting some comedy, and it's just not really that fun of a show. Granted, that could be on me. Wolfie and the slimes do have some personality, and the slimes themselves are pretty cute, I guess. They sort of remind me of Tachikoma from Ghost in the Shell, these dopey, silly outliers in this semi-serious world. For episode 1, though, I originally thought that Yuji wasn't hiding very well the fact that he was maybe like a max-level character in a starter-level town, some type of scenario like this, but episode 2 actually addresses it. I didn't love the music, although the first track was a nice mix of normal and chiptune. Overall, though, man, I just didn't really expect to feel so blah coming out of episode 1. I typically watch episodes for review, series for review on my computer because I have multiple monitors, so it allows me to watch and take notes and take screenshots when necessary. But I found more often than not my eyes wandering off of the screen because it just was kind of boring, and I felt that even though I was looking away, I wasn't really missing much. The character designs are really nice, but I didn't feel like the anime itself, the animation was anything impressive, especially some of the monsters. And also, why didn't Proud Wolf and the slimes, their lips don't flap when they speak, they just kind of open and dialogue blurts out. And as I mentioned before, since the rest of the episodes premiered with 1, I'm going to keep these episode 2 comments separately for consistency's sake, but I generally thought episode 1 was bad. Had this not been on my original list of anime that I was really interested in and wanted to watch, I probably would have dropped it after this episode. It was just a pretty confusing, boring, and just overall unfun premiere. This was one of the anime that I wanted to review the whole season because the premise seems great. I heard that where the plot goes, it should get much better after episode 2 or 3, so hopefully that picks up with episode 3 because I found episode 2 to be not that great either. In episode 2, we finally get some more background. Yuji seems to have just woken up one day in this world, found a slime, and magically became a tamer. He followed that slime to some cabin in the woods and found a bunch more slimes that became his own, and they started reading grimoires, and he learned all these magic and abilities, and finally got the additional class of Sage, which is how I think he can actually speak to his tamed monsters. The whole plot of this episode revolves around Yuji finally joining up with a party, only for them to think that he's weak due to being a tamer and a tracker. The big twist is that one of the party members winds up being a bandit, and the episode plays out from there. Yuji just unfortunately has none of the main qualities that I'd want from a main character of a series. He has no emotion, and all of the excitement comes just from the slimes pretty much, who hilariously give the preview at the end of the episode 2 in like this puppet show form, which was really funny. This is just a really weird one for me, as I'm not really that confident that episode 3 and beyond are gonna turn it around for me. I'll at least give it another episode, but this one's close for me dropping. And I really just found it odd because I had heard such good things from the manga. So I decided to read a few chapters just to check it out and see if it's any different, and oh my god, why did they cut out the first 5 chapters from the show? I'm going to talk about them now, so if you don't want to be spoiled, because they're probably going to use some of these elements in future episodes is my guess, but you can skip on to my number 8 ranking if you don't want to be spoiled. What a terrible decision to jump right into chapter 6. With no world set up at all, and the way they're handling Yuji's personality is really a turnoff for this anime for me. Yuji is the way he is, the seriousness of his whole vibe, is because he works a job in a real world that takes advantage of him and that he hates. He's just a zombie drone working, 12 plus hours a day. He has no desire to go home because that's his life. He's very much new to this game world and is still figuring everything out. He's not simply a max level character, messing around in a little town. He's figuring everything out for himself still. And he seems to have way more personality in the manga. I don't understand why he's this way in the anime. For me, it's definitely in the continue reading bracket, even if I wound up dropping the anime. It seems really fun. Alright, number 8 is going to rustle some of your feathers, I know it. Lycoris Recoil. I think I'm saying that right. Lycoris Recoil is an interesting anime. It's an original anime production, and I originally left it off my summer list because the trailers made it look as if it was just a bunch of cute girls working at a cafe, which I guess it's sort of that, just add in a bunch of shooting and anti-terrorism. But right off the bat, I could tell that this is really high quality production. Everything looks fantastic, truly. The art, the animation, the character design, thumbs up for all of that. Our main character works for DA, Direct Attack, a secret organization that prevents crimes. Their all-girl agents are called Lycoris. Normal people's peaceful lives are all thanks due to the behind-the-scenes work that these teenage girls do. And that's the problem I'm having and why this ranks at number 8, the young girls. Takina is 16, she goes against orders and is sent down to work at a cafe, Lyco Reco, I think, to take orders from Chisato. This means working at the cafe and helping the local community, which even includes the local Yakuza. But don't worry, there are still plenty of gunfights, even though Chisato is a pacifist and uses non-lethal rounds. But she's also a teenager at 17. Lycoris Recoil seems great, and it mostly is. My thing is it's what I come to learn as CGDCT, or cute girls doing cute things, and that's not really my thing. I almost can't get over why this group that keeps the peace is a bunch of small teenage girls. I get that the answer is because anime. Cute isn't a factor when I'm choosing an anime to watch. I'll give this at least 3 episodes. I can tell it's not for me, but hey, maybe it'll change my mind. Who knows? As I mentioned at the top of my video, I'm not saying this is bad. It's good. It's just not necessarily a genre for me. I did read some threads about this to see what others thought, and someone did mention that it's basically Kingsman with teen anime girls, and I think that's pretty spot on. So if that sounds up your alley, give Lycoris Recoil a try. Number 7, The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting has an interesting vibe. I felt this way from the trailer that it's going to be a drama with some comedy bits sprinkled in, and it just has a very sad vibe. Everything from the music to from what looks like the Yakuza boss's daughter, Yaika, her mother being in a coma. Kirishima Toru is a Sakuragi Yakuza family first lieutenant. He's wild, loves to kick ass, and seems to take it too far. So the Sakuragi boss gives him a new mission, to take care of his daughter. And no, I don't mean to kill her, but to take her to school, help her with projects, etc. What I found interesting about this anime is that Kirishima doesn't seem to go through this whole slapstick montage about him screwing up, not knowing what to do with a child, which is something I feel like we'd expect to see in most anime. No, he acts like a proper adult and does a great job. He doesn't want to hurt the little girl Yaika's feelings by his actions or have her be sad and really in general. He shows up to her school open house and even practices brushing hair on his long-haired male Yakuza buddy. He doesn't want to disappoint her in the future. And he even gives Yaika a nice pep talk at the end of the episode when she's debating whether or not she should show her father her drawing. The preview for episode 2 looks like it's setting up some interesting scenarios with rivals going after the girl, looking maybe to kidnap her. And as I said, there are some funny bits scattered in, but the vibe overall seems to be a mix of wholesome and grim. We'll see how this one goes. I'm not sure if it's for me, as it seems way more on the serious end of the spectrum, but I think those who like serious drama may enjoy it. Number 6. Shine On, Bakumatsu Bad Boys. This is an interesting enough anime. Samurai who all have very distinct Super Sentai colors, color-coded main characters whose hair matched their katana. Members of the Shinsengumi were killed and their replacements were made by taking criminals and just telling everyone, no, this is them. These original identities of these criminals are now gone, as they're now technically dead because they take on the former identities of the dead Shinsengumi members, which I guess does make this historical fiction because the Shinsengumi were real. We have the MC, Ichiban Boshi, who's on a quest for revenge against a samurai in a weird mask who murdered his family. The rest make up a motley crew: an assassin, a girl posing as a man, a degenerate criminal, a fat guy who wants to eat. That's all he's been given so far. A depraved monk, and a weird guy who's obsessed with dead bodies. Boshi, even though he hates samurai, inevitably accepts because they, the replacement Shinsengumi, would be going after the same samurai in mask that killed his family because they were the ones who killed the real Shinsengumi members. We get some quick training and they're off to work. They wind up finding one of these masked samurai who has a strange magical dark blade. When Boshi decides to finally unsheath his sword and not just kick, it's all red and magical, and of course he wins. Shine On Bakamatsu Bad Boys is interesting. To me, it sort of seems like I'm watching the cutscenes of a video game. The animation and art are odd, yet satisfying. The whole vibe is also a bit of a throwback, as it sort of feels like I'm watching one of those kid shows from the WB or Fox from the early 2000s, except there's way more violence and swearing. It's got action and a lot of over-the-top comedy. It's Superhuman Samurai Suicide Squad. Let's see where this one goes. Color me intrigued. Number 5. Vermeil in Gold. I quickly realized why I left Vermeil in Gold off my summer anime to watch list. Big titty demon lady. The premise is pretty good. Alto Goldfield is a first-year student of the Magic Academy. He gets perfect grades in everything, except he hasn't been able to summon a familiar. And not doing so will get him left back to repeat year 1 all over again. The teacher gives him one last shot, one more day to summon and contact a familiar. Alto goes into the library and of course a book falls onto his head. He brings it home and manages to summon Vermeil, a naked demon. Let's go, right? This seems ecchi to me. Lots of boobs and innuendo. But Alto just so happens to have more mana than any normal person, which is why he was able to summon Vermeil in the first place, and also a reason why he had trouble summoning a regular normal familiar like a beetle like everyone else. Vermeil was sealed away in the book Alto found because she likes to do naughty things. She'd like to suck out Alto's mana to regain her power. She does this, of course, by making out with him, but there are other things she can do to get it. She'll do anything Alto wants, and of course this is the typical shy MC who wants nothing to do with any of that. There's pink hair girl Lilia, who's most likely in love with Alto. She freaks out when she sees Alto's new familiar, who is telling everyone that she's a human. I mean, if the kid that you have a crush on is hanging out with some hot older woman, I guess you would be pissed off too, right? The two duel, which is classroom etiquette. If Alto wins, Lilia will do anything he says. She orgasms at the sheer thought of having him do whatever he wants. And also, once again, once Vermeil defeats her. A nice twist is that Alto actually orders Lilia and Vermeil to be friends and not fight, setting up tons of potential hijinks. And I'm assuming that this is pretty tame for how Ichi goes anyway. I'm actually pretty interested in this whole magic school, kid with way more power than he should have theme, just not the ecchi in the relationship part. Even so, I can't deny that the first episode was entertaining. I'm sure there are other similar anime out there that might fill this role for me, so let me know if you have suggestions. It's smut, but it's got personality. I didn't expect it to be this high on my list, which maybe says something more about how summer anime premieres are going in general. But check out Vermeil in Gold if any of this piques your interest. It may not be for me, but I'm not saying it's bad by any means. Number 4. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer was near the top of my anticipated summer anime. I have not read the manga, but based on the premise, it seems something that I would really like. Episode 1 was fine. As I said, I was really drawn to the premise. Some random talking ghost lizard shows up to some kid's room and starts preaching about saving the world, and Amamiya throws him out his window over and over again. Hilarious, really. The MC has no interest at all, and when he learns that he actually does have powers, he immediately uses them to push up his young teacher's skirt. He has no interest in saving the world or fighting until his neighbor Samadare, the princess who can also see the lizard and has her own magical ring, announces that she will be the one to destroy the Earth with the Biscuit Hammer, not save it. So they'll be bad guys? It was a nice twist that I forgot about from the original synopsis. This mix of action, fantasy, and comedy is right up my alley, really. I laughed, I liked the characters, the teacher is even slapstick, reminding me a bit of Bleach with Ishin and Ichigo Kurosaki and how they would fight all the time. I do have to mention that something felt a little bit off with the episode though. Some weird lighting and music choices. there was some weird dubstep song at one point, which, I mean, what year is this? Dubstep? The CGI on the Golem was awful. It looks so out of place, like it doesn't fit in with the rest of the world. I'm guessing the series unfortunately has a low budget. That all being said, I'm definitely still invested in seeing more. These two main characters seem to have a bit of a screw loose, which I like. I did start to wonder if this would be a manga that I would fall in love with and maybe the anime is just okay and mid. But I'm jumping way ahead here. Let's see how the rest of the season plays out. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer is right in the middle of the pack for me. It's good, but I really expected to be wowed, so I'm just a little bit let down. Number 3, Engage Kiss. Engage Kiss had a interesting first episode. A loser and a demon and a man and a woman. It started off a bit slow. Dirtbag asshole Shu doesn't have a job, money for food or his bills, yet he has 2 waifus interested in him, his ex-girlfriend and coworker Ayano and the pink-haired yandere Kisara. The first third of the episode had me wondering why the hell these girls were so obsessed with this loser. He quit his job and is cool with them taking care of him. But why are they taking care of him? What's his deal? And then we get our first, oh, okay moment when Shu enters a VR meeting to bid on a job for demon hunting. I was very intrigued from this point forward because now Engage Kiss started to remind me of Shin Megami Tensei and its spin-offs, Persona, Digital Devil Saga, Soul Hackers, etc. The music, the theme, the monsters. Then it hit me. I remember this is all part of Project Engage. Engage Kill will be a mobile game in the same universe. My guess is you'll be playing or paying for gotcha girlfriend waifus to take on demons. This is a promotional anime through and through, but that doesn't mean it will be terrible, especially as an original anime. I'm cool with the SMT vibes, plus the animation is stellar and the action was really fun. The VR scene I mentioned definitely went on for way too long, nearly a third of the episode with plot dump and just people sitting around bidding. Not very fun to watch. The lowest bid gets the job, and of course Shu came up in the cheap. I'm sure we'll get more explanation of this dynamic of him having to quit, but also still working for his former employer. Maybe he quit because he has to maintain his relationship with Kisara, who, oh yeah, is a super A-class demon girlfriend. Rounding out this love triangle of loser guy, magical girlfriend, and jealous ex. Going into Engage Kiss pretty blind, I didn't see any of this slapstick comedy that I was promised in the description, but maybe that's still to come, and I'll get to this in a few. What I did see has some potential, with a comedic love triangle and some really fun action. Seriously, the battle between Kasana and Ayano, where they were both fighting each other and demon dogs at the same time, was awesome. Then kind of funny when Kisara turned on Shu and was just fighting him. We did get a kiss, but it was more of a makeout, probably the wettest one I've seen in anime. I'll definitely check out more. I'm interested to see where this goes, especially after episode 3. And hey, I'm making this video late, so episode 2 already dropped, so I checked it out. We'll go over it real quick. I'm not moving my ranking, but I found the first 2/3 of this episode to be quite boring. It finally showed off some of that slapstick comedy with the guy that was hitting on all the girls at the train station, but I feel like that this is very different from what we were seeing in the premiere episode. More comedy, school life vibes, and fan service, although, I expected fan service. The chasing up this episode's demon mark was fun and exciting though, and we even got a bit of a hook about Shu's past. I hope that future episodes focus on these aspects in lieu of the dating stuff, but I know the show is called Engage Kiss, so maybe it's not just about powering up Kisara. Number 2, Uncle from Another World. The story of a man who at 17 went into a coma and spent 17 years living in a video game world. He wakes up and his nephew is the only one to come and visit him because basically his family fell apart while he was in a coma. Takafumi takes him in and catches him up on technology and the fact that Sega no longer makes consoles, and is constantly surprised that his uncle can use magic and the abilities from the video game world in the real world. It was a nice intro episode to set up what I assume will be a mix of shenanigans and Oji-san getting used to the real world via flashbacks because he can use an ability to see them. It's a comedy isekai, but I guess more of a reverse isekai because it seems to be more about the aftermath of the uncle returning to the real world. I like this take on it. I haven't had much experience with isekai in general, so I'm not sure if this is anywhere near one of my favorite genres, just because I haven't seen or read much, as I said, but Uncle from Another World seems great. I found episode 1 to be quite funny. For example, everyone in the game world is beautiful and gorgeous, and the uncle is ugly. So ugly that others thought that he was some sort of variant orc. The animation does seem to be a little budget with a decent amount of still shots and I guess what I would call choppy scenes, but it really didn't affect my enjoyment at all. I had a great time with it. I like the overall aesthetic and art, and it reminds me a bit of anime from the 2000s. I'm very interested to watch more. It's not supposed to come to Netflix until July 20th, but launched in Japan on July 6th, so easy enough to find the episode online, just saying. I'm just glad I was able to include it in this ranking because I really had a great time with it. And now my number one premiere for the summer 2022 anime season. Call of the Night. Well, that was a satisfying first episode. First night, first flight feels a bit like a pilot, pun intended, but honestly, that works. We're introduced to our two main characters, who and what they are, why they're out at night, and even a little backstory. All combined with amazing cinematography, colors, art, and music. Koyumori is a 14-year-old insomniac who decided to walk the streets at night for the first time since, well, what else can you do when you're up all night and you can't sleep? He's pretty unsatisfied with his life. Girls seem to be interested in him, but he has no interest. He's not interested in boys. He's just kind of at that age where he hasn't had his first crush yet and has no interest. Or maybe that changed when he meets vampire Nizuna Nanakusa when he's about to buy a beer from a vending machine. The two go on this quasi-date, which ends with Nizuna helping Ko fall asleep in her apartment, sleeping together but nothing dirty. But this was of course all a ruse so Nizuna could feast on Ko's blood, because it tastes the best at that moment right before a person falls asleep and when they're actually asleep. Ko is now obsessed with being a vampire. Save me from this tragic life. For him, though, it unfortunately doesn't quite work that way. You have to be in love with the vampire that's about to suck your blood to turn into one. The whole premise is great, and honestly the episode really just hit it out of the park with everything. The animation is really good. I did notice a bit of static frames, but honestly I didn't care because everything else was so top-notch. Interesting camera angles, the OST was great, the opening and ending songs were too, the voice choices are perfect, the colors, oh my god, the colors. Lots of neon lights because this is nighttime in a city, but I caught a little bit of deeper meaning, at least I think so. I'd like to see if it continues throughout the series. I noticed purples and pinks when Ko was exploring, walking around in the beginning and flying at the end, yellow when he's in a bit of an awkward situation, the flashback when he's talking to girls, the vending machine, and when he realizes he's being bitten by a vampire. Blue when he's calm and sleeping or fake sleeping, and red when he's actually just about to be bit. All of these examples really had me glued to the screen, not just the colors, everything. Whereas some of the other ones, I said it before, I had my eyes wandering. They weren't the most interesting shows. The hype is real for Call of the Night. This was a perfect premiere. I'd give it a 5 out of 5. Now, there were a few other animes that premiered, but they really didn't interest me. I'm curious to see if I wind up dropping any of these after episode 3 and what the ranking at the end of the season looks like, which I'll be doing a video on, so subscribe for that. Let me know your ranking for the summer anime for 2022 in the comments below. For more summer anime content, check out my 2 videos on Bastard, and until next time, I'll see ya.